Hey community, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Blaire, a doc in clinical psychology, and on this channel we discuss psychology, inspiration, social justice, and all topics in between. First things first, hit that subscribe and bell button. I need to see you back next week. And of course, stay tuned because I have new content for you this month. All right, so this month we won't necessarily enter the battlefield, but we're going to talk about tools or weapons we need for the battles that we are fighting. And just a quick reminder, the battlefield is going to be a reoccurring series here where myself or community members will come on and discuss a professional or personal battle that they are fighting and or have fought before. And remember that this is the place where we release, reclaim, and reestablish our justice for our mind, body, soul, spirit, and even for our people. And it's going to be really important that we know how to utilize the tools or the weapons that are readily available for us. And I, without further ado, want to talk about courage. Courage is a tool, a weapon that we need on the battlefield. And this really started for me really reflecting on some of the areas that I need courage in my life. And before I started reflecting on that, I was led to study King David, where he had tons of courage. And so really paying attention to his character traits and what were his strengths, so to speak. This is one that just bled out to me. And so as I'm looking at his courage and I'm reflecting on my own, I'm like, this is something that's actually useful. And I started to think about life experiences. I mean, of course it's useful, but it started to make me think about life experiences that I had where I really had to assert the courage that was within me. And so courage, what exactly is that? It is this thing that we muster up that helps us. It's the ability to confront something that we're afraid of, something that is frightening. And I'm sure we all have a laundry list of things that we're afraid of or things that are painful and or areas that we need relief in. But when you are thinking about those areas, those challenges, I wonder, what exactly is that for you? Maybe it's like what we talked about last month, struggles around failure, beauty industry standards, imposter syndrome, or even purpose, walking in your purpose fully. Maybe it's none of those things and it's something else, like having struggles, having difficult conversations, facing yourself in the mirror, drug and alcohol abuse difficulties, codependencies, addiction, or even struggles around high and low self-esteem. At the end of the day, that challenge could be something that you need to go on the battlefield for, but at the end, you're always going to need courage just to step onto the battlefield and fight it out. So, how do you get courage? And I have some very simple and practical steps for you to follow. And I think it's really important that we have some action steps. Why? How often do we hear knowledge? We get information, but we don't actually learn how to translate that information into our everyday habits. I think it's actually... I get a little frustrated with it, that we can have information, but don't actually know how to use it. This is how you use it. First things first with courage is understanding what it is, realizing that courage doesn't mean that all of nowhere I am strong. It means that you're mustering up the ability to face something that is frightening to you. It doesn't mean that you're no longer afraid of it. You're actually facing something that's a challenge for you, something that's anxiety provoking, something painful, something that an area that you do need relief in. So realize that you don't go into something thinking that courage means that out of nowhere you no longer are having concerns or fears or even worries. It means that you're instead taking the ability, the strength to push forward and push past that fear. That's key. So the first thing that you want to do with your courage, the information of courage to translate into your behavior, is acknowledge the fear. So often we are wanting to, how do I say this? Have a positive reframe. of what it is that we're experiencing. And I love this. I think that it's a strength-based approach. However, if we dabble into something too much, we end up being one-sided, and we don't want to be one-sided on this. We have a scale and we want to strike a balance. The balance here is it's okay to acknowledge that thing, that challenge, the thing that you're afraid of. And so actually name it, say it out loud. I am afraid of whatever the balance is, the battle is. This is the name of the battle. Call it out for what it is and say it out of your mouth. And that way it's very clear what you're targeting. Next, refuse to return back to the same cyclical pattern that has been going on in your life. After you've named it for what it is, you have to say, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to repeat the same cycle, and then reject it from your life. And so what does that mean? That means that after you've named it and then you said, I'm going to turn my life around, I would no longer deal with this particular issue. I reject it from being in my life. That means you have to then actively be engaged in not returning to the same pattern. Actively thinking about what does it mean to attack addiction. So if the fear and the concern or the battle is addiction, and then you're saying, I'm not going to go back into my addiction of whatever, I am rejecting it from my life, then that means that you're staying away from things that maybe trigger you from falling back into that addiction. It means that you are now disengaging from maybe even surroundings or people that make you fall back into that addiction, and you are replacing it with something that is a lot more healthy and something that you do need. You see how we go? It is an active engagement. It is a process. You actually have to prune yourself of the things that keep you in that same place. So next, you want to encourage yourself, or even have encouraging supporters, other people around you. And this is really the stage where you build yourself up. A lot of the time when we hear the word courage, we think of bravery, and bravery often brings this image of like, I'm strong, I'm mighty. And that's okay. I think we kind of got that from Popeye's, the Sailor Man with his spinach and him being strong and brave. But with courage, you want to make sure that you're building yourself up to stay in the pattern that you're working to change. And I believe I did a video some months back around steps to take to actually produce change. So I recommend that you check that out. But even with checking that out, some of the same principles apply here, that you want to encourage yourself to stay on the new path that you are on and not returning back to the other path that you were on. It takes active work. It won't happen overnight, and it won't happen just like that. But you have to do something to keep yourself going in the direction that you're supposed to be going in. And last but not least, you have to practice having courage in other areas of your life. We can't just expect that having courage in one area means, all right, I got it. No, you have to continue to practice it elsewhere, because if you notice, there might be a pattern in many of the battles that you're fighting in your life. There likely is a ongoing thread that's going through that tapestry, and courage can help unroot that for you. But you have to pay attention, and you have to be able to point it out. But nonetheless, we're going to start here by working on having courage in other areas of your life. And so this actually reminds me of a real life story of my own, where I had to have the courage to face something that I was like terrified about. I was going zip lining, and I was with my family, and I go up the stairs. I'm getting ready to, go off on a zip lining situation. And all I kept thinking is, what if this cord snaps? If I fall off out of this harness, I'm about to be splat all on the ground. And every time I look down off of the platform, I see all of my family like cheering me on. They look like ants as far as I'm concerned. And I kept wanting to turn around and get off of the platform, but then I thought, I can't walk past all of these people. But at the end of the day, the thing that kept ringing in the back of my mind is, if I don't do this now, this thing will have power over me moving forward. If I don't overcome this fear right now, it will continue to rule over me in this area of my life. And I couldn't have that. Yeah, I'm a little competitive too, but I use that to my advantage. And so it took courage that every time I stuck my foot off of the platform, I kept thinking, nothing's under my feet. And so it took a moment where God spoke to me and said, but I'm holding you up, right? And outside of him speaking to me, it took courage to finally launch off. Now, I had put on this whole theatric about how afraid I was and holding up the line, and me zipping across the thing was milliseconds, it felt like. But at the end of the day, I was able to overcome a fear, but that required courage. So I'm here to tell you, in order for you to step onto the battlefield where you're going to release, reclaim, and reestablish your justice, to get your justice, to get the peace and the justice, the joy that God has set aside for you, you will need courage to do it, just like King David, just like I needed, and just like I'm sure you had at another time before in life. So we all need courage to step out onto these battlefields and fight whatever is out there. We need courage. So continue and feel inspired to build upon your courage and share this with others, that they need courage as well. But before you go, I have two announcements for you. The first one is I'm offering an online wellness workshop. Here is the information. All of the link and all of the information will be down in the description box, where you are able to register, invite friends, family members. Would love to have you all there, where we're going to go through a lot of psychoeducation, even a self-walk journey with my support along with you, where you can reflect and recognize areas where you can apply these tools that we're going to go over. This is to build on coping mechanisms as well as mental stamina. And our next announcement is here. It is a save the date for the Battlefield Conference, and I'm so excited. Y'all can't see me now, but I'm dancing. Hey, I'm dancing. And it's going to be on November 5th here in Chicago. So if you're not located in Chicago, I'm welcoming you here as a one-day conference where we will go over so much information. I have so many wonderful speakers coming out, and I assure you, you will not want to miss this. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your community, and make sure that you're sharing with someone who needs courage. And remember, before you go, and I see you next week, if I'm great and you're great, then we're a great community.